This week on the House of Muscle, we're in Atlanta, Georgia, with a 1996 Impala SS that belongs to Mike Render, aka Killer Mike from Run the Jewels. I met Killer Mike through my friend Ron. This is Ron. We're going to talk to him in a little while, and we're going to get into why this car is so special and how Mike Render came to become the owner. This is kind of a surreal experience on the House of Muscle today, and the reason is this. Right now I am driving around in a 1996 Impala SS. So a little history on the Impala SSs that were built from 1994 to 1996. Back in 1992, at the Detroit Auto Show, there was a designer at GM named John Moss. And John had this idea to say, you know what? I think I'm gonna take one of these big old Caprices and I'm gonna make it into what I think is the coolest American muscle car in a long time. These cars are just massive, big old, basically taxi cabs, right? If you were in LA, if you were in New York, basically if you were anywhere in the United States, during the early 90s to the mid 90s, these things graced everywhere because they were in fact the cabs that you got picked up in. They're big, they're super comfortable, they've got loads of room, and as a car that kind of has a history of carting people around, Chevy knew that this was an amazing platform, you know, kind of for family guys that wanted to have their cake and eat it too, and that's really what the Impala SS was.
When I first got a record deal, usually what you do is you go out and buy a car you cannot afford, and if it works out, it was a good move, and if it doesn't work out, you gotta sell it and suffer embarrassment. I wasn't gonna do that. In my mind, success meant a 94, 95, or 96 Impala. So I found a 95 Impala I loved, when it got a loan through SunTrust so I could build my credit, get my credit good, because you coming out the streets and getting a rap, you ain't got no credit, you just shot your credit. But I got a car note and paid it off quickly, but I love that car. Everybody had these cars and they were treated regally, so when I got mine, it meant the world. I got one that was a maroon color, you know, had the digital dash. It had the shift on the columns. It was a 95, but I always wanted the 96. I saw everyone from working class men who were working the railroads to guys who were working street corners to guys who were working in corporate offices that had come from my neighborhood, all ran out and got this car. They got it in 94, 95, and when the 96 came out, the shifter back in the middle.
Yep, that's right.
And the non-digital.
That's right, non-digital gauges.
When that happened, it was they had to have it. And I'm running around in a 1,500 mile 96 mint condition Impala with Mike Mustang.
Like a lot of people don't realize, I grew up in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So when I grew up, you were what you were. You were black, you were white, you were Hispanic, you were Asian.
Because everybody's next to each other, yeah.
You're on an island that's 11 miles long with 9 million people on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you didn't have, it was, you just people. That's it.
Absolutely.
And the car world is just an amazing place because what happens is you get introduced to people in the oddest circumstances.
Yeah.
And like I've always said, it doesn't matter if you have, you know, a Pinto. It doesn't matter if you have a Lamborghini. If you have a nice car and you have a passion about it, like I want to talk to you. You want to have a conversation.
Autotopia is a place where they just store dope cars that, you know, that guys who can afford dope cars, like really, really amazingly rich people cars. I'm out there in Autotopia looking at cars like this is a 1,400 horsepower boat engine. Yeah, we just stuck it in a Dodge. Yeah, this is the vicious thing. It's $1 million car. Like, and I see this Impala just like in the cut. And I'm like, hold on, why is there an Impala in the cut with all these supercars? And Sean was like, yeah, it's my brother's car. He just bought it. I don't even know why he bought it. I don't think he likes it that much, but it only has 1,000 miles. I'm like, what? I was like, this is my dream car. Like I know your brother. I say, if your brother ever wants to sell this car, let me know. And Sean called me about a month later. He was like, yeah, my brother's selling this car. It's this price. I was like, it's too much. And he was like, what are you talking about? It's only 1,000 miles. I was like, I know, Sean, but I want to drive it. I was like, I'm not buying it to set it with you. Like, I'm going to drive this car. Now, when I drive, I mean, I'm going to drive it. And by the time we got to the low 20s, this is about after 5 or 6 months of going back and forth, you know what I mean? He called me with a price, and I said, look, if your brother will take this cash in the morning, I'll send the money. And he took it, and I walked away with that pristine Impala. And I remember calling Ron excited, just like, you're not gonna believe how much I paid for this car. Like,
How long have you been married?
I've been married 11 years.
Oh, okay. We're going on 15.
Yeah, that's dope. We've been together,
good, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really cool, man, to be married to your best friend who loves. It's not as cool when she learns to drive and love your Hellcat more than you.
That big problem?
Yeah, I will say Shane falling in love with my Hellcat has been interesting. And her nickname is Hellcat, interestingly enough. I love being married, and I give advice to dads sometimes where I say, don't sell your cool car.
No, don't.
Go ahead and buy the SUV. I say if you got to get SUV, get the SUV. Even if your wife wants to get the hybrid or you think you should get the hybrid, but you need the cool car for a weekend.
Keeps you grounded.
And it keeps you at home.
That's right.
Tinkering on it keeps you at home. Your kids love the look of the other kids' dads' faces when you pull up in your cool car without air conditioning, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's the whole thing about this community. When people come up and they're like, do you want to drive my car? That still makes me laugh. Because I was the little kid that used to go to car shows and you used to look and, there were the guys that were like, don't touch the paint.
Exactly.
And now people will call me and be like, do you want to drive my car? And you have no idea. That to me, everything that I do, I get in this car and it's a privilege. It is such a privilege to get in a car like this, to talk to guys like Mike.
It's a privilege to have.
But it's just cool.
Car, man. You're like, yeah.
When Mike got this car, he hit me up and he was like, hey man, you're not gonna believe the deal I got on this Impala. 1,000 miles, basically a brand new car. I'm getting the car, I'm sending it straight to you for wheels. I said, that's awesome, that's incredible, but a car like this, you can't just do wheels. You've gotta have a host of modifications that really accentuate the wheels, the stance of the car, make it usable and make it fun to drive and preserve the originality. So what I proposed to Mike was, let me lower the car, let me do suspension, exhaust, give the car the tone that it needs to make it aggressive. And obviously the wheel and tire selection was the biggest deciding factor of the theme of the build. And Mike just said, I want something menacing. I want what Darth Vader would drive. So that was easy, because if you remember these cars when they were new back in 94, 95, 96, one of the ads that Chevy ran, it actually said, Mr. Vader, your car has arrived. It was an easy theme to kind of fulfill, but the hardest part was modifying the car to make it usable, but also make it returnable to stock if Mike ever wanted to.
Ron got it, made the subtle upgrades that to me took it from being just a beautiful stock Impala to a personality.
These cars came stock with a 5.7 liter LT1 V8 from GM. That motor was actually pretty stout. Again, you kind of gotta look at it for the day, right? 5.7 liters, 260 horsepower, 330 pound-feet of torque, and when you nail it, believe it or not, the thing gets up and goes.
I was at the car wash this morning, the guy didn't say that's a clean 96. He says, I know Vader, I already follow you, And having your friend give that type of personality to your car, but also every upgrade he made within hours could be shifted back to original. It just shows that all around the board, I made the right decision in selling my original car, setting and accomplishing a goal, and on the other side of that goal, I was able to get what I truly wanted from the start was a 96. So I like the fact that on your shows, on this one and past shows, that I have seen the regular guy get a shot. I want to encourage the regular guy out there to put your car out there to give it a shot. There's a kid, I think it was a Camaro or a Cuda. It wasn't all the way put together. Kid was a young kid.
Absolutely.
Which one?
That was a 73 Cuda that his dad gave him. That's right. That his dad gave him.
I'm a fan. I follow him. I followed him for a while because of that. I'm a sincere, genuine fan. Make it right.
I followed that car from the time we built it until now, and he just keeps taking it to that next level. And when he gets a couple of bucks, he puts it into the car, and it just gets better and better and better. When I say the Impala SS was based on the Chevrolet Caprice, that's not a lie, it really was. But the thing was, it was based really on the 9C1 government issued and kind of police issued Caprice package cars. Those cars came with 4-wheel disc brakes, they came with a dual exhaust, better cooling, higher output alternator, and a couple of other things. They came with stiffer springs, and all of that was to make these cars pretty much bulletproof for government and law enforcement. What's always interesting about this show and when we film people is that the cars are really kind of extensions of the owners. You know, you can tell a lot from an owner by what they drive and how they outfit the car. Now, think about this, right? We have this big Chevy Impala SS. The car has a presence to it. It's big, it's burly. Like, you really don't want to get into a bar fight with this thing. Going a step further, you take a look at Mike. Now, Mike's a big man. Like, if I saw Mike in a bar, like, I'm not gonna go up and mouth off to that guy because, like, I don't want him to punch my eye closed. But the fact of the matter is, you talk to Mike, and all of a sudden, what happens? Well, the only thing that happens is that you realize that the guy is the biggest teddy bear in the world. Literally one of the nicest human beings that I have ever met. And when we talk about the Impala SS, it's kind of the same way. Like, on the outside, the car is just like, well, how you doing? What's going on? But then you get in it, and I've got this massive, luxurious interior. And when I say luxurious, let's not get bananas here, okay? We're talking like early 90s Chevy luxurious. So, you know, we've got big, comfortable leather seats, a nice center console, huge back seats. The trunk has 20 cubic feet of storage, which rivals most SUVs, which is amazing. But more importantly than that, it's just this big, lovable thing that you want to make friends with and cruise down the road and just listen to music and hang out and just be like, right, you know, on the outside, this is who I am. But you don't know what I'm like in here until you get into the car. We have been rolling around in this thing all day, and I really have to just say, one, Mike, thank you. Thank you for letting us have the pleasure of really driving around in what is perhaps the cleanest Impala SS in the United States. Again, we've got just over 1,600 miles on this thing, and not only does it run well, but the mods that you made, one, were not only tastefully done, but they've enhanced the car in a way that it's just improved as an overall kind of driver, right? We've got sound, we've got style, we've got, you know, a little bit of a suspension mod so the car handles better. They're basically just improvements that have brought it into the 2000s. And if you ever go to sell it and you don't call me, I'm gonna be upset. I'm not saying you have to. I would just appreciate the phone call. So, Mike, thank you, man. Amazing day. Thank you for setting time aside for us, and go out and buy something else cool so we can film that too. Thank you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. How y'all doing today? How's everybody doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?